evening. Welcome to Queer News Tonight. This is the world's first and only LGBTQ plus daily evening television news broadcasting live and available on demand. Available on all smart televisions, including Roku, Apple TV, Android TV, Amazon Fire TV, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. It's time to queer up the news. It's Wednesday, September 20th, 2023. We are live and literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we're going to tell this evening on Queer News Tonight.
This is the world's first live daily LGBTQ evening news show, literally out of the closet and into the headlines on Queer News Tonight with Al Ferguson.
I am your anchor at Queer News Tonight, Fay What, filling in for Al Ferguson. This evening, we bring you the news of and perspective representing the LGBTQ plus community from South Florida, America, and across our planet.
This is the world's first and only unedited live LGBTQ plus evening news show. Whatever happens in unique in LGBTQ plus news, you will see it and hear it.
Hotspots Media, Hotspots Magazine, Happening Out Television Network, is a nonprofit 501c3 media company in the same models of PBS and NPR, but designed for the LGBTQ plus community. Our mission? Support the 10 pillars of our LGBTQ plus community. We want to inform and educate the key issues of our Black community, Latino, lesbian and queer women, trans, student youth, seniors, HIV/AIDS healthcare, business, social justice, and faith. Help us support our community.
We are part of one of the largest LGBTQ plus media companies in America, Hotspots Magazine and Happening Out Television Network.
Our magazine is celebrating 38 years of the LGBTQ plus community experience, and our television news, talk, and entertainment shows support our mission and educate the LGBTQ plus and broader community.
That's right. So let's begin by welcoming Mark Pettitt. Mark is a pioneering traveler and coordinated the very first gay pride parade ever on the continent of Antarctica. He's also a former Mr. Sawmill Leather Sir. He and his husband Luke run linksbyluke.com, the chainmail harness and pride accessory shop I love. Welcome back, Mark.
Thank you.
Happy to see you, puppy.
Yeah.
Next up, let's welcome John Hayden. He didn't have much to say. All right.
Man of few words.
Man of few words.
Not
I love
me.
it. No, that's not you. Not you. So John is a journalist for 28 years, and he now works for several outlets, including Out South Florida as senior reporter and community editor. Welcome back, John.
Thank you so much, Faye. And Al left us, but left you and I to be on the same show together without him. Girl, let's go. Buckle up for the next hour. This one's dedicated to Al.
He's in trouble now, right? Next up, let's welcome TriniDaddy. He is currently a violinist and pianist with the Miami City Ballet and is the program director for the Seminole Theater Players in Homestead, Florida. Welcome back, TriniDaddy.
Hello, everybody. Speaking of the Seminole Theater, you all need to come out to my event on Saturday, September 30th. It's called Cosmos, A Journey Through Space. It is an indoor planetarium where we're going to be doing music from the classical world, where composers looked up and their inspirations, going through David Bowie and Pink Floyd. So you can come in and you can't kind of toke up inside, but you can outside and come in afterwards. Well,
Trini, did you just tell people to get lit to go to your event? Really?
Absolutely.
I don't know that that's an endorsement.
No, that's okay. That's okay. I love it. All right. And last but definitely not least, let's welcome anchor Scott Galvin. Some of his achievements include being the ED, the executive director of Safe Schools South Florida, a member of the North Miami City Council, and the longest serving LGBTQ plus legislator in the state of Florida. Welcome back, Scott. How are you, honey?
I'm great, and it's a good thing I toked up in the parking lot before I came in here tonight, because the only way I could tolerate all of you. I'm really happy to be here.
Oh my God. Listen, he's honest, right?
Did you say ED when you mentioned him?
Everybody always looks at me and thinks about ED.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Well, folks, we are the reporters for Queer News Tonight, and this evening we begin with the queer headlines. The LGBTQ plus community in South Florida and across America is diverse. Our community across the world is vast. And here are the bullet points of the queer news for today, Wednesday, September 20th. Let's begin by queering up entertainment. My Puerto Rican brother, Bad Bunny, accused of queerbaiting for fashion and gay kiss in Cassandro biopic. Puerto Rican rapper Bad Bunny has addressed claims that he uses genderqueer fashion as a form of queerbaiting. In a recent interview with Vanity Fair, the rapper opened up about fashion and gender, revealing that his use of skirts and dresses in photo shoots and at events has resulted in an endless number of sexist and homophobic comments. Bad Bunny acknowledged that he's targeted, quote, without being homosexual for dressing like that. Maybe the queer person suffers more, but it is not like I put on a skirt and go out and say, look how cool. They're going to attack me with all their force anyway. You don't know the reasons why a person is wearing that. You weren't in his mind when he decided to put on a skirt or a blouse. You don't know what's inside him, what's in his heart. You do it because you want to, and it makes you feel good, and it makes you feel happy, end quote. From shutting down homophobes on Twitter to donning full drag in his music videos, as well as raising awareness of violence against the trans community, Bad Bunny has consistently used his platform to show up for the LGBTQ plus community. Bad Bunny also stars in Cassandro, Prime Video's biopic about Saul Armendariz, aka Cassandro, played by Gael Garcia Bernal, the first openly gay wrestler in Mexico's Lucha Libre. Ahead of its release this Friday, Prime Video dropped a new set of clips, including a steamy moment between Bernal and Bad Bunny's characters.
No puedo. Está bien, no te preocupes, está bien. No te hundes. Está todo bien. Perdóname. Nos vemos, mi rey.
Oh my God, now all of a sudden I'm interested in wrestling, right? All of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, I want to see this. All right, so back to the story, folks. Queerbaiting, Bad Bunny queerbaiting me personally. I don't care if he's queerbaiting. I love that he dresses androgynous that way. Does he get some heat for it? I bet he does, you know? But the reality is that in a couple days he's going to be a Jenner, and then we'll see him on the Kardashians, and he can put on whatever the hell he wants then.
I got to be absolutely serious because I'm not a Bad Bunny kind of guy. He's just LGBTQ plus. I mean, why is this like? Is he like genuinely in real life pretending he's not? And
he's not.
No, he's not. No, he's just a fabulous ally. He's a fabulous ally, and he has come out and said,
"Mark the calendar that I'm calling it. Ding, ding, ding. Today, the man's LGBTQ plus."
So your gaydar says that Bad Bunny's one of us.
Yeah, I don't.
Okay,
somebody does and pretends that they're not.
I don't like. When I mean, I know it's fun and we have a little, like, right. He could, come over and split my hairs, whatever. But I don't like when we, superficially out celebrities, especially ones that are our allies. And Bad Bunny has been so pro, and maybe you're right down the line, but right now he's just a fierce ally. And if queerbaiting is basically just straight guys trying to get gay men to look at them, then Bad Bunny is queerbaiting by his existence.
By breathing.
Boy is hot. and Gael Garcia Bernal is a fabulous guy too. He's one of the first people I interviewed in my celebrity journalism days. So I just love everything about this. I'm glad I have Prime.
Yeah, and I don't want to see us punish somebody who embraces the gay community. It shouldn't be like hugging a porcupine when you want to kind of get close to us. And to me, the fans and most of the gay community is not buying this accusation that he's queerbaiting. This happened back at the VMA Awards in 2022 when he kissed a guy. I think the people who are calling him a queerbaiter are not people who really care about gay folks. They're using that term to try to take down a true ally, somebody who really does stand for our community.
Like I can't remember the last time that I have seen a male performer go on stage with that much clout. He has a huge platform and he will wear Trans Lives Matters. He will wear a t-shirt like that. You rarely see a Latino megastar like him do something for our community like he does. And he does it all the time.
I can't stand these gay people who are yelling this word queer baiting out there, right? Because you're mad when there's a dude that's a homophobe. You're mad when there's a dude who's not gay, but he reinforces gender binaries. You're mad at the gay dude who doesn't come out fiercely enough. And then you have kind of the perfect Goldilocks of a straight guy that has so much clout that he is messaging that, you can be straight and you can be wearing all of these different types of clothes. It shouldn't matter. And he's probably one of the fiercest allies in that way and influential in ways that other artists who are maybe not as well known don't have the same amount of clout. And I think it goes back to some psychological damage. Even the word queerbaiting, right? Like, I think in their mind, it's like, you know, I had a chance with them when I thought that they were gay, but then when I realized that they're not gay, then I don't have a chance anymore. You never had a chance to begin with. You're never going to meet him. Like, you need to calm down and go see your therapist.
I'm going to send you a picture of me from my 20s because I had a shot with a lot of straight guys back then. I had hair.
Don't queer
a better personality.
Like
What? Go, John. You're next.
I love you. Next, let's queer up out South Florida. South Florida LGBTQ plus stunned as Smart Ride announces end. I first broke this news Saturday on social media, and in this week's Out South Florida on Stands Thursday and online now, I have extensive coverage of how the sudden decision is reverberating through our community. First, what happened? I go beyond the surprise announcement and look at what founder Glenn Weinzimmer and new executive director Todd Delmay said about the ride's future back in January and compare it to what they're saying now. Also, thousands of riders, crew, volunteers, and organizers have formed their own special community over the years. Now, they're redoubling their efforts, literally, for one last ride. I look at how the change impacts many groups, including SAVE, Can Health, and the Dolphin Democrats. And how will benefiting agencies cover the loss of hundreds of thousands of dollars? I have this developing story from every angle now at Out SFL online, and it'll be on Stands tomorrow. Also, follow me on Instagram at John Hayden Journalist for breaking news and reports from South Florida's events. And I'll tell you, I consider myself pretty well connected in the town, and this absolutely
floored you,
me.
right?
I was getting ready to go out with Al for a Saturday afternoon happy hour, and we still did, but it was delayed because I was making a ton of calls, and it just, like, so many people have come up to me in the last 4 days and been like, what happened? And I really feel like we've got a good feel for it, but what we don't know yet is what changed. Something changed when, in January, when they said, or Todd Delmay specifically said, we're going to make sure sustainability is the key goal. It's the lifeblood of keeping this organization alive. This week, he was telling me sustainability is important, but one of the things they've been dealing with for several rides now is people aging out. There are 8 people who have been with this all 20 years that are doing the 20th ride, and we're there for ride 1. But the crews aren't getting much older, or aren't getting much younger. Volunteers aren't getting much younger, and it is a year-long event. The ride is a Friday, Saturday. You drive back to the mainland on Sunday, and the crew starts putting it together that next Monday, the next year's ride. So it's a big undertaking. But boy, there are so many holes that are left in this community because of it.
Well, and John, okay, so you said anything else that you said that is a big difference from January to now? Again, it's 8 months. A lot can happen in 8 months, you know. But what else was said in January that now is completely different? I know it'll be in your story online.
Right. Well, no, but that's a great question because Todd said, you know, I don't want a 9-to-5 job because I want to run for office again someday. He ran last year and didn't make it out of the primary, but he wants to go again. And SAVE, the job he's going to, is a very political organization. Right. So it's a good fit for him. But he said, I don't want a 9-to-5 job, and the flexibility that Smart Ride gives me fits in perfectly with my future plans. Now, he's taking, you know, he's not even taking a 9-to-5 job. SAVE is an 8-to-8 job going into
9 days a week.
Going into an election. But he did say he's not going to run this cycle. So he's at SAVE at least through next year. So there's so he's focused on that. But something, my gut tells me something happened where they started to go, maybe not. But we don't know.
Scott, you're the other politician. You're the politician at the table.
Right,
okay, like what happened when you read this story? What did you think?
Do you think SAVE demanded or asked that he step down from Smart Ride if he wanted their job?
I have no indication that happened. It is possible, but everything that I've been told, and from multiple people, and I believe this, that Todd really thought he could do both.
Right.
I thought he could do both, but they're both very demanding jobs. And the board at Smart Ride marinated on it for a couple weeks, tried to figure out solutions, and they said there were other possible ways, but it's just too much for one person to do, and they didn't want to give it to somebody who was just coming in doesn't know the organization and go forward with a lesser version of this iconic legacy event that has touched literally tens of thousands of people over 20 years.
And there was no way of getting Glenn Weinzimmer to come back for a couple more years until something else happened.
You know, Glenn's tired. Right. And rightly so. And Glenn, we love you. I love you. But he also runs a restaurant, a very popular restaurant that's busy most nights of the week, Bona Italian.
He's also a businessman and also has another job.
Yeah, he has another
got a lot
job.
Going on.
Yeah, in fact, he's down in Miami for 3 days this week on non-smart writes up because, you know, life. And he's tired.
Yeah.
You know, he's been living with HIV for 30 years. And 10 years after his diagnosis, he's founded what became the Smart Ride. He is a hero and an icon for our community. And he has deserved a chance to go to Key West without having to take care of thousands of other people along the way.
Yeah, no doubt he deserves it. My take is absolutely that Save made the condition that if Todd was going to have that job, he had to step away from everything.
Look at, and that rightfully so. I mean, think about, okay, we're going into a crazy year next year, you know, like he's needed.
Right.
He is also stepping down. He's president of Dolphin Democrats. Since February, he is stepping down at
My Hollywood. Isn't he part of My Hollywood also?
He is on the Hollywood LGBTQ plus Council, and I want to say head of, but I'm not 100% of My Hollywood Pride. He is going to finish his term on the council through December, and he will stay on My Hollywood Pride through the event in mid-January. So he's staying with those, but he's leaving the Dolphin Democrats. Oh, and I do have a good interview this week with the new president of the Dolphin Democrats. She's a bisexual Asian queer woman.
Love
and she's very personable. I can't wait to meet her in person. But you know, there's a lot to do, and you can say, well, she's only in office for 4 months, 5 months till she has to run for a new term. But these next 4 months are crucial for Democrats in Florida, especially LGBTQ ones. You know what I'm talking about. Now is when we're doing our grassroots.
Yeah.
Now is when we need to get ready. This November is when we get ready for next November. So she has a huge job and responsibility on her plate. So good luck to her.
And I bet you she's ready for it.
Yeah.
And we can't wait to hear all about it. Mark?
I think I do understand what happened here, but I just don't understand, frankly, what didn't happen as far as not having any kind of succession plan, whether there would be some mentoring of new leaders along the way that would take the place. Without exception, every single biker and cyclist that I know in the queer community are some of the most active fundraisers. They're always on a ride, working a charity, doing something like this. This leaves millions out there on the table, and I think creates a vacuum, also a great opportunity, because we need to take advantage of that energy, that activism, and make sure it goes somewhere and doesn't start to go to charities and causes that are too outside of our community and dilute that good that those folks have been doing.
Well, this is all at the beginning stages. Okay, we're speculating on a lot that we've heard. Until we find out more information, of course, we'll bring it to you folks at home, and we wish everybody well that's involved. I know that these are powerful folks that do a lot for our community, and I think we're in good hands, So, Mark?
You got it. Next, let's queer up gay culture. Gay Gainer documents ingesting water-absorbing beads to gain a stomach on his social media.
Okay. All right. That's the third and final one. It was the biggest one. And this is what I look like now.
A gainer, or person who has a fetish for having a large body and wants to increase his size, has become very controversial on social media. Gainerable on X, previously known as Twitter, has been documenting the use of a toy called Orbeez to gain a stomach. It's not always true that men like a lean body. A large majority of people like to gain and like stomachs, as they sometimes connect with the fetish. Orbeez are a popular toy that consists of small gel balls that absorb water around them to greatly grow in size. There have been news reports of individuals experiencing intestinal blockages as a result of consuming them, sometimes to take up stomach space to lose weight, and sometimes they're ingested by accident. By referring to Gaynor Bull's tweet, it's clear that Gaynor Bull wants the appearance of a large stomach. In one of his tweets, he wrote, quote, "Nothing sexier than a growing size contrast," end quote. Not only this, he also shared a video where he's swallowing the expanding Orbeez. Social media users are torn between supporting an individual's choice to practice a fetish and the health risk that ingesting those toys can pose, and the possibility of influencing others to harm themselves. Many cite the case of Tank Pettitt, who died after his partner convinced him to inject silicone into his genitals. Look, I think the only time that plastic should be around your body is when it's wrapped around a man's parts, or in your case, a woman's parts, but it should be a finger, another part, something like that. Look, I like that I got this story as kind of the leather person. I think that fetishes and kinks are turn-ons partially because they are taboo. That's part of the reason that they work.
Yeah.
And there are fetishes out there like suspension, piercing, mummification, even spanking that absolutely can involve danger to a person's body. But in those cases, that danger is consensual. There is somebody there with you. And if anything goes wrong, it's not going to be permanent. But this man is not helping anybody.
Look, I mean, no, not at all.
To explore themselves sexually. He's harming himself.
And those fetishes that you mentioned, right? They're visually out there. You can see if someone's in pain or if, maybe, maybe he's bleeding too much, whatever it is. These Orbeez balls are inside of you. You can't see them. You don't know what kind of damage they're doing in there, right? And they're growing. And an obstruction. Does that sound like any fun to anybody just because you want to hold more space in your stomach and you want your stomach to be bigger? Like, I can't even comprehend this. You can't comprehend queerbaiting. I can't comprehend how someone's going to be swallowing plastic balls to be bigger.
Oh no, I can't comprehend this either. Like, I'm bad. I have
don't hook me up to this.
Look. I don't even like that this is called a kink, and I know it is kind of. No, I'm good. Thanks. Call me a kink shamer, call me a fat shamer, call me whatever shame you want. I don't care. This is so unhealthy to the body, not just the Orbeez balls, but this practice in general. I get you may like a huskier body or whatever, but I mean, to do such permanent damage to your body it's crazy to me. This is a psychological disorder, in my opinion. I'm not a licensed therapist or a doctor, but this is different than, like wanting to put on leather or wanting to, even have those little electrocuting things. Like, I'm good with all of that stuff, but this is indisputably harmful to the body. We shouldn't be going along with this. We shouldn't be accepting this, because I was reading all these articles and Reddit things about I don't want to be a kink shamer and I'm torn between the two. No, you shouldn't be torn between the two. This is terrible. It is dangerous. He should not be any kind of role model. And I understand that he says, I'm not a role model. I'm just documenting my life experience. It's America. Do what you want to your body, but this is dangerous and we should not be behind this in the LGBT community.
If he was starving himself on social media or cutting himself on social media or anything like that, the platform would have taken him down.
Absolutely.
I think that X, stupid name, is asleep at the wheel.
Orbeez challenge, John? Are you going to, try it?
I am most definitely not going to. But here's my thing. First off, I had never heard about this before last night.
Well, we're not cool. We're not cool like that anymore.
We're not cool. And I am unfortunately just drinking straight up water tonight. But so I don't really know a lot about it, and it appears unhealthy, but I mean...
But do you really need to do research on it? You saw it all right there on the screen, John.
Well, no, you do want to do some research. You want to find out what the effects are, and I still don't really have a good grasp of it. But what I will say is that we go to the bars and we put all sorts of bad things in our body, be it alcohol, perhaps some drugs, perhaps someone holds something a little under your nose and you take a whiff, whatever. We're not... So I don't know quite why we're singling this one thing out, because we all have unhealthy behaviors. I don't understand. I don't think it's particularly illegal to do it. So I guess, Trini, what am I missing? Or Mark, what am I missing?
The American Medical Association
never leaves your body.
And sometimes it does leave your body. Yeah.
So it comes out.
Sometimes, and sometimes it gets obstructed.
But you don't know the mountain of evidence of what that level of obesity does to your body and how it destroys your body.
Okay, but are you retaining fat? Because
the gainer community
arteries.
No, but those
are the things.
This is not a gainer thing.
It is.
No, the gainer is the fetish of a person like being fed and getting bigger, and the person who feeds them doing all that. This is just he's just doing this to himself online.
Okay, but the
both
said
of them
that, but
are.
He said he was doing it to get himself bigger.
Exactly. It's because he's a gainer that he wants to do this. I say the practice, the kink of it is a terrible thing, and the obese balls inside of you is an even worse thing.
Yeah.
I just think that everything was much easier in the 80s when we all regulated our weight by using cocaine. Yeah. And it really didn't sound like that bad of a thing, because I thought this was the Arby's challenge, and I was going to...
now that would be okay, though. You were like, what's wrong with that? I love Arby's.
Yeah.
Now that's an appropriate gainer challenge.
Right.
An Arby's challenge.
Let's go.
Yeah.
We'll try that after the show. Thank you.
We're doing shots of cheddar sauce after the show.
Trini.
Next, let's queer up court.
Please, Trini.
Maryland man pleads guilty to sending threatening messages to LGBTQ plus allies. A Maryland man pleaded guilty to threatening an LGBTQ plus advocacy group in the days following a mass shooting at a school in Tennessee earlier this year. Adam Michael Natina pleaded guilty in a federal court in late August to the charge of making threats transmitted by interstate communications. As part of his plea agreement, Natina also admitted to sending other threatening messages to state delegates from Maryland and Virginia who had voiced support for the transgender community. Natina made the threats in the aftermath of the March 27, 2023 shooting at the Covenant School in Nashville that left 6 people dead, including 3 9-year-old students. The deceased shooter, Hayden Hale, reportedly identified as transgender. Eric L. Barron, U.S. Attorney for the District of Maryland, said in a statement, quote, "You have the right to your own opinions, but you don't have the right to threaten the lives of those who disagree with you." End quote. According to court documents, Natina left a voicemail at the victimized advocacy group with the threats, quote, "We'll cut your throats. We'll put a bullet in your head. You're going to kill us. We're going to kill you 10 times more in full." End quote. He admitted leaving the voicemail with the intent that it would be viewed by the group as a threat. Natina admitted that he targeted the group because of the actual and perceived sexual and gender identity of the workers and people supported by the group. As per the court decision, he faces up to 5 years in a federal prison. Well, of course, leave it to the right wing to take the one time a transgender person commits an act that 99% of actual shooters and harm inflictors
do. White cis men.
Exactly. The white cis men at the table. Everybody look over here. This is what a shooter looks like.
Oh my God.
But let's not forget Club Q.
Club Q.
In Colorado Springs, the murderer in that case also identifies as trans.
Okay. Well, I didn't know that part.
2 out
but
of
there's
300?
2 out of how many?
Right.
It's statistically insignificant is the point.
Yeah,
is that
if you're using it as a guise, if you're using it just to have our support, and as minuscule as that would be, then that's ridiculous.
Exactly. It's like saying, oh, well, all teachers rape children just because there happens to be one story that comes up in an entire county or 2 stories. You always have to look at the statistics to see what is actually happening and what is cherry-picked for political purposes. And of course, this is cherry-picked for political purposes. And I should have had the stats with me, but transgender people it's much more statistically probable that they will be the victims of violence. They are the number one murder choice of shooters in these, maybe the shooters is not the right word, but of having victims of violence to them. And Black trans women are the highest group of murder. So, this is all ridiculous. It's smoke and mirrors. So we shouldn't be giving this, any kind of influence into the right-wing media.
My takeaway from this is that we're starting to see a pattern. Remember, I think it was last month or maybe earlier this month that a woman was shot. She had 9 kids and she had a pride flag. Straight woman, had a pride flag in her business, was murdered strictly for being an ally. This person going after allies. I've said it before, there are corners of the dark web that we just don't go to, but where this stuff foments. where this stuff, people talk to each other. And this is where they get the ideas. And there's going second verse, not the same as the first. They saw how, after George W. Bush attacked us with a constitutional amendment, how we quickly, within 10 years, had full marriage equality. Because people came around. People started seeing gay people as not a threat. Imagine that. So now they're going after our allies because they know that if they can keep our allies away, they sap our strength, because our allies are most definitely needed. They're probably the most important part in this particular civil rights fight.
Almost all the way back around to the Bad Bunny story.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah.
Well, on that note of Bad Bunny, next let's queer up gay culture. Indeed offers a $10,000 financial aid for trans employees to relocate to friendlier states. Job search platform Indeed has launched a new $10,000 payment program for their transgender employees to help them relocate to safer areas in the United States. As per the Bloomberg report, Indeed Inc. announced the initiative to assist transgender employees back in July, but it's only now being made public. The initiative will offer any trans workers or workers who have trans relatives in their immediate family a payment of $10,000 to help them escape to states that still offer gender-affirming care and are generally more welcoming to those who might be seeking it. One employee, Sam Berger, told the publication that they made use of the initiative as soon as it was announced. Berger is one of the few employees who has taken part in the program so far, though. Other LGBTQ plus workers, particularly those living in Texas and Florida, have reported feeling uneasy about their futures in those states. Indeed's Vice President of Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging, Misty Gaither, explained that the company has been working with a business resource group for LGBTQ plus workers to figure out how best to respond to the growing number of states that are passing laws to restrict LGBTQ plus healthcare. Gaither said that any tax liability created by the payment, which is considered income, will be covered by Indeed Inc.
What do you think?
Well, good for you, Indeed Inc., but anybody who flees the state of Florida or Texas or any other similar state is chickening out. At the moment, we need them to stand strong in the fight. Now is not the time to tuck tail and run away.
I could not disagree with you more.
And I know that people don't agree with me, but I know I can tell you, as somebody who's in this fight every single day, politically and otherwise, every time somebody leaves the state of Florida, every time that somebody says, I'm leaving the country because of this, you're doing exactly what our enemies want you to do.
And I understand that you see it as a disservice, but that is not the point of the story. We're talking about the story. The story is that Indeed wants to give $10,000 to a transgender person. Now, you're not transgender. I'm not transgender, so we can't speak on the transgender experience. But I know that if I had a sister or brother, and if they were going through a life-threatening situation and they had to get the hell out of Florida and $10,000 was the way to do it, then I would say thank God that they had that money.
But aren't we all undergoing a life-threatening experience
in one way or another? But
it's an existential threat, not an immediate physical threat to us. This is an immediate physical threat to our trans sisters. And I have said on this show before, I have said, please don't leave. Please stay and fight with us. The one exception is our trans community, because they still have to take care of themselves. Because if they don't take care of themselves, then they just become another victim that we're going to see on the wall at the end of the year at T-Door.
Yes.
And that's why we need to do more to support them and not
completely. Now, going back to Indeed, I want to say thank you to Indeed for, it's a great gesture. I think that $10,000, and I hope that it's tax-free. So let's say that. But you know what would be better? It would be better if you gave me $10,000 and a job. If they're Indeed, if they can give somebody that way to sustain themselves, to keep things going, then that would be a greater gift.
That is a very good point in the story, because when I first saw the headline, I thought, how awesome of Indeed as a job placement organization to offer that benefit. And then when you really look into it, they're just doing it for their employees. But I think that just business-wise, this really is a no-brainer. The cost of what it takes to find a new person, the cost to train the new person, the loss of profit over both of those periods of time, it just makes good business sense, frankly, to value your people. I agree with you generally, Scott.
I say go down with the ship.
I say stay for the fight, but if I had a kid in a Florida school who needed special kind of care, I'd say screw you to everybody and look after my kids. So I do think that it's situational, but business-wise, this is pretty simple and smart business.
Well, I think business-wise, that's how I was, like the angle I was looking at it was, first I was thinking, man, these companies have a lot of cash to just kind of dole out $10,000 for something, but maybe they don't have that high of a transgendered population.
This story's just said that only one person is taken advantage of. So this great publicity that they've got them has only cost them $10,000.
That's a great point.
But they haven't released that program to all the employees. That person was a part of like a small initial test. This is a part of them letting their employees know that it's out there. So we really don't know how many people are going to take advantage of it.
So the relocation would be if, I assume if you're having a job that is allowing you to work remotely, that you can move to to another state. But then I was reading Amazon's policy and Meta, which, because at first I thought it was pretty radical. And then they said, well, it's similar to Amazon and Meta. And then I was like, oh, okay. So now I understood it a little bit better, which is, I think under their policy, and I didn't read all the nuts and bolts of it, but the basic idea is that they will, as part of your insurance package, if you do need to travel to another state in order to receive care, then that will be partially subsidized. So I think that's a good policy if you're not able to work remotely. You're working at some day-to-day job in an office, and on the weekend once a month you need to travel to, I was going to say Alabama, but not Alabama, but to some other state where you need to receive your care. That's the only place you have access to it, and then to come back. And if you can get it mailed to you, if you can, that's covered. But if there's no other choice and you have to transport yourself, it's covered under some of their subsidies. So I thought that's a great plan. I am just slightly skeptical in going along with what you're saying, is that maybe it is a little bit of a cheap PR stunt to help them, which is good, but they probably don't have that many trans. That's just my cynical nature.
Well, we've already talked about how small the percentage of the general population is trans. So we know it's not going to be a ton of people. It is. God bless them for doing it. I give them credit, but it's not like they're really making a sacrifice.
No. I got you. I understand. But it's a nice gesture. How about that? It's a nice gesture, right?
Absolutely.
It's impactful for people who
Indeed.
Who can use those
right now, but will be able to.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, but let's make no mistake. Indeed is not losing money on this.
Right.
No. Again, still a nice gesture.
Yes.
Still a good
Nice gesture. Good job, Indeed.
And everybody stay here and fight. We don't.
Nobody leave Florida because Scott's going to kick your butt.
He's
All
going to
right?
be waiting at the border.
Right there. There's a border.
Yeah, build that wall.
All right, folks. So if you haven't heard, Out South Florida is celebrating the best of South Florida with the Your Choice Awards. You get to vote on your favorite things in South Florida, including TV personalities. And I'm nominated. I won last year, actually. And this year, Happening Out Television also has John Hayden and Al Ferguson nominated as well. So who will you vote for? Watch this. Hello, everyone. I'm Fay What?
And I'm Al Ferguson.
And I'm John Hayden.
And we all do the same kinds of things, and that's why we are all nominated for Out South Florida's Your Choice Awards. We're the best television personalities.
We're really not sure how those network guys got nominated.
I know, right? We each give our time to fulfill Happening Out Television Network's 501c3 mission to support the LGBTQ plus community on Queer News Tonight. But we each retain the thing that makes us, us.
Yeah, you should see John's hard-hitting expose.
It made him super popular with the gay mafia. I'm voting for Al Ferguson. You should see Al's unapologetically queer interviews. Adina Menzel, who played Alphaba, and Trey Crowder, the liberal redneck, over 180,000 views.
I know, right? Each interview is 1 minute for every year Al is old. I'm voting for Fay What? And you should see Fay What in her 90 with the hot boy she gets in her bed.
Yeah, she's had more boys in her bed than John and I have had combined. I'm voting for John Hayden.
Congratulations, Out South Florida.
And all of the Your Choice Award nominees.
Okay, so your chance to vote now. Who will you vote for? Okay, real quick, Scott, me or Al?
I'm voting for my favorite pair, Fay What?
My favorite pair. look at Trini's like, what? He's talking about her boobs? Look, last year I was honestly so humble and so happy to win and bring that award over to Happening Out Television, right? And now this year, me and my compadres are battling it out to the death.
Yes, we are. You can vote every day. Go to outsfl.com. It's on the homepage near the top. You can vote every day in each of the 4 counties for South Florida. So go in there, make your choice, vote. There is no wrong choice in our category, but there is a right choice.
Hey, you didn't ask me who I was voting for.
TriniDaddy, who are you going to vote for, honey? 3 of your favorite people are out for this award.
It's like Sophie's Choice. Well, I would say
not a good choice.
I have equal disdain for all 3 of you.
So you're going to vote for Craig Stevens.
So, Mark, what's the next?
Well, since you can vote every day, I'm not a dummy. I'm going to make sure I vote for all 3 of them and then tell each person that I voted for them.
Right, screenshot it and send it to them. Look, I voted for you.
Yeah,
now I know, Scott. Now I get that screenshot you sent me. Now I understand. Wow.
At least it wasn't that other screenshot I sent.
Yeah. Go, Mark. Before I kill this guy.
Next. Next, we are proud of our special partnership with Sunshine Cathedral, the world's largest queer church here in Fort Lauderdale. Supporting that partnership, we're broadcasting from our permanent set here at Sunshine Cathedral at the Happening Out Television Studios. We broadcast Sunshine Cathedral's Sunday International Service at 10:30 a.m.
That's today's news for the LGBTQ+ community on the world's first and only daily LGBTQ+ evening news show.
If our community is important to you, share the news with your friends and family. Are you, like much of America, part of our very large television audience watching this live LGBTQ+ news broadcast right now on Roku, Apple TV, Android TV, and Amazon Fire TV?
Queer News Tonight is the only live LGBTQ+ digital television show in the world that is out of the closet and into the headlines. We need your support. If our community is going to grow, we must tell our stories and bring them to the attention of the broader world.
This is the only place in the world that tells these types of LGBTQ+ stories in motion and sound. That is the passion of Hotspots Magazine, Happening Out Television Network, and Queer News Tonight.
I've been your anchor this evening, Fay What? And on behalf of these LGBTQ+ reporters, the anchors of Queer News Tonight, including Mark Pettitt, John Hayden, TriniDaddy, and Scott Galvin. We will see you daily at 8 p.m. To our LGBTQ+ world, we wish you good night.
We are Queer News Tonight, the world's first and only live daily LGBTQ+ evening news show, brought to you from Happening Out Television Network. We operate in the same model of PBS and NPR, but for the LGBTQ plus community. We educate, inform, and entertain by supporting the 10 pillars of our LGBTQ plus community, with more than 100,000 a week watching us on Roku, Apple Television, and other channels. To keep the story going, we accept donations with 100% transparency. Stay updated and live authentically with Queer News Tonight.